What we're developing is a fleet of autonomous underwater vehicles, or AUVs, basically underwater robots. They're launched from a ship and they travel down to the bottom of the ocean in an area where the water is about 5 kilometres deep. They open up the bottom of the robot and robotic arms are deployed. And these arms are using artificial intelligence and remote sensing cameras to identify the nodules or the rocks one by one and to pick them up one by one. So they're not dredging, they're just like using a claw or an arm type mechanism that picks up the nodules one by one and puts them into a hopper or a storage container and takes them back up to the surface. The artificial intelligence and the remote sensing process is around determining which of those nodules have something growing on them, like a deep ocean coral or a deep ocean sponge, or something that's visible to the computer system as life, and those nodules are excluded from the harvesting process. The idea for impossible mining was born from two main issues associated with metals for the green economy. The first is the concept of supply and demand, and the fact that to transition to a green economy, which means electric vehicles, green wind and solar energy, we need huge volumes of these, what we call critical metals. So that's things like copper, nickel, cobalt. There's not a lot of these resources left on the land, and the land-based resources are in some pretty challenging places. So for cobalt, for instance, obviously the vast majority of those resources are in places like the Democratic Republic of Congo, where you have some fairly serious human rights concerns. There are also some big deposits of nickel in rainforests and really key ecosystems. So that was the first problem. The second is that where these metals do exist in vast quantities is on the seabed. And the players who are looking to develop mineral extraction on the seabed at the moment are looking at technology that is similar to dredging technology, where it takes the nodules from the seafloor, or these metals that are on the seafloor, but it also takes the sediment and basically the habitat of the seafloor ecosystem. And that happens across a really large area. There's got to be a better way to do this, a better way to harvest minerals from the seafloor whilst you keep the ecosystem intact. We want to get to a point where the loop is closed and we are just recycling metals. But the demand for green energy infrastructure and electric vehicles in the next 20 or 30 years is so far ahead of that process that we will not get to a closed loop situation for at least a couple of decades. We have to continue to mine metals. This is a finite process that we have to go through. Why would we not take this blank page that's in front of us and make some really dynamic changes to the way that we harvest metals and use them so that this is not time wasted? We would love to see responsible metals become something like organic or fair trade. So they have a brand, they have an independent auditing and certification process, and consumers get to say, well, I want to buy an electric vehicle, or actually I want to buy an electric vehicle that's made with responsible metals.